As comic collectors, admit to me now, we all do it. How many times have you double dipped on something?
It's morphin' time!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to another comic book video. Today we're talking about comic book collections where we double dip contents. Okay, for whatever reason, I have many. What are times that you've double dipped on something? This is not a definitive guide to like, oh, the bad pros and cons of double dipping. This is just personal examples and kind of goes into some of that pros and cons of formats and such. But let's talk about the times that we bought comics that we already had a second time in a different form for whatever reason we have done it for. That is today's discussion topic, and if you enjoy these type of videos, hit the like button, hit subscribe and the notification bell so it helps the video and it helps you keep up with future uploads on this channel. Let's get into this discussion because, yeah, we've all done double dipping at some point. You collect comics long enough, you have overlapped something at some point in time. All right, let's start with an easy one, and I say easy because it's just me. There's nothing else going on. So I had the Hawkman by Jeff Johns, Book 1 and Book 2 paperbacks, where like Book 1 had issues 1 to 14 in Secret Files and Origins, and Book 2 had 15 to 25 in JSA, 56 to 58. And so I had these for many years, and I was like, yep, that's probably, you know, all I'm getting because the Omnibus is way out of print. And then they reprinted the Omnibus. So I double dipped. I already had this. I already had singles. This is technically a triple dip. But, you know, it's like I technically already had a trade collection of it, but I was like, yep, I want the Omnibus. It's funny, they even have like the same cover and the same like overall graphic design intention, which is kind of fun. Yeah, so basically, like, the funny part, too, is they still kept the Hawkman Omnibus Volume 1 on the spine when we still haven't seen a Volume 2. And it's been a long time since this first one was printed, but it's the same exact contents. Did I need it for my collection? Was it giving me anything I didn't already have? No, but at least I have it, and now it's upgraded. And I also told DC with my wallet, print more Hawkman. That's the important part here. That being said, I do like having the larger hardcover omnibus size, and it's an easy read because it's a short run, right? It's not like it's one of those big 1,600-page books. There'll be more of those in this video. All right, let's talk Legion of Superheroes. Now, this one is not a publisher type thing. I'm not complaining about like a way something was done, which I mean, there's like one example of that in this video. I'm teasing too much. Let's talk about the subject. So Legion of Superheroes Omnibus Volume 3, which is the Silver Age Omnibus Volume 3, which you can see contains stories from, because it's, you know, they were all anthology books back then, 361 to 380 from Adventure Comics, Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen 106, Superboy 147, and Action Comics 378 to 387, 389 to 392. So why is this here? Well, I have all the Legion Silver Age omnibuses, and then the first DC Finest for Legion happens to be this era. Now, me personally speaking, which I'm not speaking for anybody besides myself, it would have been nice if this volume started where this one ended, because we never got a Silver Age Omnibus 4 or another collection after this, so there was a bit of a gap. Now, instead, DC chose, and they probably have a grand master plan, they got a giant spreadsheet about DC Finest, so, you know, not questioning that, but you know, I only technically need this back portion of the book. All this front part here overlaps with this. So, just from a personal standpoint, I double dipped on half this DC Finest volume because starting from this section onward, that's all new to me. I didn't have that before, but everything prior is in this. So, yeah, it's a bit of an overlap. It's, again, this is no complaint. Like outside of just me and other longtime Legion collectors who collect all of the volumes, because I have all the modern like recollections of the older material, and so yeah, it's just like, yeah, you can see Action Comics 378 to 387, 378 to 387, 389 to 392, 389 to 392, then Adventure Comics at 374 to 380, which, you know, ends at the same spot, but then you got 403, which isn't here, and then yeah, you've got Superboy 172 to 173, not in here. And then all these Superboy issues, like all of that, not in here as well. So, and then eventually the title would become Superboy and Legion of Superheroes before becoming just Legion of Superheroes. So, yeah, it's a minor thing also because the price point on DC Finest is insanely good. It's not like I had to buy like an omnibus, like half of an omnibus double dipping just to get new stuff. It's like, yeah, just adding to it. But anyways, that's just kind of as another double dip thing I remembered. All right, let's talk Epic Collection double dipping, because this is a topic that comes up a lot when contents of Epic Collections are put out. People are like, oh, it's double dipping with stuff. Well, I actually don't mind double dipping in something like an Epic Collection or a DC Finest within the line itself, right? So let's just talk just Epic Collections. So Guardians of the Galaxy Quest for the Shield. The Guardians of the Galaxy didn't have an ongoing series until the 1990s, so that's like 1 to 6. All this other stuff is their scattered appearances across other books. So naturally, if you have been collecting the Avengers Epic Collection line, if you're collecting the Marvel 2-in-1 Epic Collection line, all of that you already have or will have in your volumes for that. And it's double dipping with this Guardians volume. But this is the thing, right? If you're only collecting Guardians, if you're not doing Avengers or Marvel 2-in-1, I'm doing Marvel 2-in-1, but I'm not doing Avengers, for example, it's fine, because you're not trying to, unless you're getting every single Epic Collection, which is a very small percentage of people, and I applaud the people that do. There's like 400 of these things. The thing is, if it's just, you're just getting the Guardian stories, so you're not overlapping with Guardians, right? It's not like there's two different Guardians epics that have the same material. I don't have a problem with that. So technically it's a double dip, but, it's not that big of a deal, I think. This also goes for some other volumes. Generation X Volume 1, for example. This is, of course, the start of Generation X, but it does have some overlap with the other X-Men books, because it does contain Uncanny X-Men 316 and 318, X-Men 36 to 37. That's the Phalanx Covenant, I think. Is that what it's called? Now I'm trying to remember, because my brain just had a big old brain fart as soon as I turned the camera on. Yes, Phalanx Covenant. That's what debuted Generation X, was debuted the idea of the team, and it leads right into Generation X #1. Without this, the book feels disjointed. So if you just want to read Generation X, you're fine. But if you are collecting the X-Men epics, you're gonna double dip on that. And if you're collecting the Wolverine epics, I don't know if it's in this volume. Yeah, it is in this volume. Wolverine 94 is also in here. So you're double dipping on Wolverine if you do Wolverine and X-Men. But if you only do Generation X, this makes it a better reading experience by double dipping that intro story. Because I got some other weird examples, right? So, for example, Wolverine has his own Epic Collection line, right? Whole separate Epic Collection line. And this first volume starts with Wolverine 1 to 16. So why is it like this, and why is this a problem? So for me, I think if you want all your solo Wolverine stories, it's weird to start with Wolverine #1 from, where is it at? 1988. It technically starts with Marvel Comics Presents stories first, but 1988, Wolverine #1, that is the second Wolverine volume, because there was a Wolverine miniseries, which is actually collected over an X-Men God Loves, Man Kills. And that is, Wolverine 1 to 4. Now, there is 2 issues that are sequels to this miniseries that are in this, which is why it's included. I just find it funny that the first Wolverine solo book is only here and not over here. And then this also is the case for something like Spider-Man versus Wolverine. It's in the Spider-Man epics, and it's in the X-Men epics, but not the Wolverine epics. And so they've kind of done an interesting split with the X-Men stuff, where if it's important to the main X-Men story, it's included, and then it's not included in something like Wolverine. But then, like I mentioned, Generation X still has the important story there. The X-Factor and X-Force still have their issues, right? Like, they're not skipping over issues. So it's just kind of a funny thing that the Wolverine Epic line doesn't seem to include the first miniseries. And also, because the Wolverine Epic line, this one, I think, started in 2014, they may not have planned it exactly all the way out. Maybe thought, oh, we're just going to do the Wolverine stories that don't involve the main X-Men stuff. So I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, if you're only collecting Wolverine, you're gonna have to get some volumes of X-Men. But I think Marvel looks at it like, if you're buying Wolverine, you probably are also buying X-Men, which, considering what we're looking at, they're probably right on that one. Another X-Men example is the Always Darkest Before the Dawn volume specifically. This is the 4th X-Men epic, and look at this. Look at this right here. Look at all this. So X-Men did not have an ongoing series. They had a series, which you can see, covers from X-Men 67 to 93 and Annual 1 to 2. They would reprint old X-Men issues, because X-Men was not selling, it was not popular, they could not get the book to sell. So they were doing reprints to try to keep the idea alive, because I think Marvel editorial at the time was like, oh, we got something here, we just need to refine it. And refine it came in the form of Len Wein Dave Cockrum and Chris Claremont with Giant Size X-Men in the following run. But this, era, these were reprints, but the X-Men were appearing in all these other books. So if you're collecting just X-Men, you're good. If you're collecting all these other lines, you're going to have a bunch of double dip. It's fine. I just think like Generation X, I think just like Guardians, this is totally fine because this series is supposed to be the main story of the X-Men. So, if you're missing anything, you don't want to miss anything, right? Even though it does double dip with a lot. And, for me, I'm like, oh, I'm double dipping with Fantastic Four, which is also the case with Silver Surfer. I don't have the first Silver Surfer epic because it's like 90% Fantastic Four reprints. But that's just kind of how it goes. And, yeah, it's just interesting to see where they will double dip and where they won't double dip when it comes to epic collections. All right, next example is when I've been forced to double dip. This is not an exact phrase. Do not take that out of context. It's a joke saying forced. You're not forced to buy anything. That's not how this works. So back in, I don't remember what year, but Marvel had started reprinting Spider-Man 2099 in these classic volumes. So Spider-Man 2099 Volume 1, it's the first 10 issues, kind of nice, like small trade volume, not an epic collection, but just kind of like here's a reprint. They did a ton of these before. So then they had a Volume 2, and then they did a Volume 3, where they started slapping the classic on there because they had brought the character back. And this one has a subtitle with Fall of the Hammer, because this contained not only the Spider-Man 2099 issues, but the entire Fall of the Hammer crossover. And then we had Volume 4 with Strange on the cover. Then we didn't get a Volume 5, but instead got Spider-Man 2099 versus Venom, which contains like the Peter Parker Spider-Man meets Miguel O'Hara Spider-Man one-shot, which also involves Venom 2099. And then I think a lot of us who had been collecting these was like, okay, so when's our Volume 6, or whatever we're calling Volume 6, because the Venom 2099 volume was still was not numbered Volume 5, and then it never came. Part of the problem, I think, is because the price point got ridiculous. If you can notice, and this is, just so everyone knows, this has been a thing with Marvel for a while. You see Volume 1 was $25, and Volume 2 was $30, and Volume 3 was $35, and then Volume 4 was $35, and then Volume 5 was $39.99, so it's $40, even though these have like basically the same page count. It went from 25 to 40, and they essentially did one of these a year. Also, yes, I am bugged by the fact that Volume 2 was a gold spine while all the others were red. But yeah, they basically did like one a year, and then they just never printed, issues 39 through 46, right? They just never finished printing it. So if you wanted to have a complete Spider-Man 2099 Classic collection in your collection without buying singles, then they announced the Omnibus. So I don't say I was forced to buy the Omnibus, but if I wanted the rest of the issues, I had to double dip on all of this to get the rest of the series. Also, this is where I started to learn that omnibuses do take up less space on the shelf, which I do appreciate, because that, again, there's like a bunch more in here that's not in here, and yet, smaller page, not smaller page count, but a smaller spine overall. A lot harder to read. But yeah, this book has the entire classic series, right? You got all the issues up through 1 through 46, plus the Fall of the Hammer crossover, plus they threw in Spider-Man 2099 meets Spider-Man and the Spider-Man 2099 special, which wasn't in the previous. So, it was nice to get a complete collection. And then some of the extra stories for him that didn't fit in this book were moved into the Omnibus Volume 2, which I got, and then I bought the X-Men 2099 Omnibus, and the Doom 2099 Omnibus, and the Ghost Rider 2099 Omnibus, because it doesn't seem like they're printing 2099 anything but Omnibus at the moment. So I guess their plan worked. It got me to buy multiple omnibuses, but it was the first time that I looked at, usually when I bought an omnibus, it was something I never had before. This was the first time when I said, oh, I want the rest of this series from my favorite Spider-Man, so I guess I'm buying the omnibus. And actually, I don't regret it. But yeah, it was kind of frustrating. We waited all that time, and it was just like one more trade would have finished it, and instead, boom. With X-Men and with Doom, they'd only done one trade each, so it was barely any chunk of that run. But with this case, it was, yeah, you have to rebuy a whole thing just to get those last few issues. I'm starting to realize that, like, a lot of my examples are the characters I never shut up about. Spider-Man 2089, Legion of Superheroes, Hawkman. Ghost Rider's making an appearance in this video. So, let's talk about this one. This one's fun. So remember those Spider-Man 2099 trades, right? Like they put like 10 issues, 12 issues, whatever. They had done that with Ghost Rider, Danny Ketch, where they did like issues 1 through, I think it was 1 through 21, something like that, between 2 volumes, plus like some extra stuff. And when they announced the Ghost Rider Danny Ketch Epic Collection, I thought, great, I'm going to have to double dip part of it, but like we can actually finish the whole 94 issue run. Sort of not exactly realizing how much that encompassed, considering there's the Spirits of Vengeance series, it's like 26 issues, and then there's all the Midnight Suns crossovers that take up a lot of pages. So, you know, I was like, all right, it's going to be a lot of epics, but like, whatever, let's go. I'm ready to do it. We need a modern format. So like this first one had 1 to 12, plus Mark Spector Moon Knight 25, Doctor Strange Supreme 28, and some material from Marvel Comics Presents. So it was actually new stuff in addition to the overlap, which was cool. The next epic collection was Siege of Darkness, which is Volume 6, which is Ghost Rider 44 to 45, Spirits of Vengeance 17 to 18, Night Stalkers 14 to 15, Marvel Comics Presents 143 to 146, Darkhold 15 to 16, Morbius 16 to 17, Sorcerer Supreme 61, and Midnight Suns Unlimited 4. All of this never been reprinted before. I was like, cool. And then we don't know when the next one's coming. So we've got a huge gap. We got 1 and 6. And who knows when the next one's coming, because they keep putting out the regular, the original Ghost Rider epics, right? Like the Johnny Blaze stuff. And then one of the other things I had, this was kind of the awkward part, is I had like 1 to 20 or whatever. And then I had this, which has Ghost Rider 28 and 31, Spirits of Vengeance 1 to 6, Morbius 1, Darkhold 1, Night Stalkers 1, and Spider-Man 95 to 96, and some material from side stuff, because it's supposed to be the Rise of the Midnight Suns, which for some reason also included all the first 6 issues of Spirits of Vengeance. So, you know, I've been trying to put this run together for a long time now, right? So, basically, I had the classic Danny Ketch trades, which I've overlapped here. Then there was some stuff from those that weren't over here in these, right? And so, you know, if we're looking at these 3 thick books, you know, if we're talking the first 45 issues, we've got a chunk of it. So, after they announced the first epic and released it, before they announced Siege of Darkness, Marvel released Danny Ketch Ghost Rider Omnibus Volume 1. And I did not buy it at release. I know, weird for the Ghost Rider guy, right? Exactly. So, the reason I didn't buy this is because this has Ghost Rider 1 to 24. This would be my 3rd time buying the first 12 issues, and I just didn't have it in me. Doctor Strange 28, Mark Spector Moon Knight 25. It also had Spider-Man 6 to 7, which I didn't have in Ghost Rider volumes, but I did have in a Spider-Man collection. But then it had Punisher War Journal 29 to 30, Ghost Rider Wolverine Punisher Hearts of Darkness, and some material from some Marvel Comics Presents stuff. So there was some new stuff, but, you know, $125. Yeah, I can get it on discount, but point stands. Expensive book. A lot of overlap. And then the question I had was, how is this going to collect the Midnight Suns crossovers, right? Rise of the Midnight Suns, Siege of Darkness, Midnight Massacre, all that good stuff. Well, Marvel, after putting this volume out, then announced, and then now have released, Danny Ketch Ghost Rider Omnibus Volume 2. This is getting ridiculous, but here we are. So Omnibus Volume 2 answered all my questions that I had, which I bumped the camera because we're dealing with big books here, and that is that this contains Ghost Rider 25 to 40, most of which I never had before, Spirits of Vengeance 1 to 13, Morbius 1 and 12, Darkhold 1 and 11, Night Stalkers 1 and 10, Ghost Rider Captain America Fear, graphic novel X-Men 9, Web of Spider-Man 95 to 96, and Midnight Suns Unlimited 3, plus material from other stuff. So that means the omnibuses are collecting the entirety of the Midnight Suns crossovers, not just the Ghost Rider part, which is nice. The other thing it's doing is it's including Ghost Rider and Blaze Spirits of Vengeance, which is important because the thing is that with Danny Ketch Ghost Rider, Blaze eventually takes over that title and goes off on his own, but it's only for like 8 issues, and at this point, if they're including everything's going to be included. There's still going to be like 2 more of these, and it's going to take at minimum 2 more years to finish, but compared to the slow rate of the epics, where we got this in 2023, this in 2025, and for the first half of 2026, we don't even have an announcement of another Danny Ketch volume. Yeah, I don't know how long this is going to take. And I don't know if I'm just feeling my age or I'm just feeling the fact that I, figured out how to get deals on omnibuses and I can just kind of go with it, I'm just switched over to Omnibus. Now, will I still buy the Epic collections? It all depends. Will the Epics have something that's not in the Omnibus? Because I heard that happened over at X-Men. So we'll see. I'm kind of in a wait and see. 90s comics just are like this, right? My classic thing with 90s comics is I love reading 90s comics when they're fed to me. I don't want an ingredients list. I don't want a recipe. I want the finished meal that I can just consume it. That's what I like about like an Omnibus or an Epic for 90s comics. Like, throw in all these series and put them in order for me and I will just read it myself. But I do not want to go through the process of figuring it all out issue by issue because there's so much of it. So anyways, yeah, I think I've over dipped officially at this point. But yeah, when I started the Epics, I didn't know they were going to make the Omnis. And then when they made the first Omni, it was too much double dip, but Target buy two, get one free. I technically got it free. So, and then I bought this one, which is outside of the stuff that overlaps with this trade. All of this is new. So I'm pretty happy overall. Okay, Power Rangers, your turn. So this is my last example for the video because, all right, so the Power Rangers Deluxe Edition hardcovers were not necessarily the biggest planned out thing, and so we've had some complications because of this. So first of all, let's talk about this part. So with Power Rangers, there was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Go-Go Power Rangers. Go-Go Power Rangers was a flashback series, so the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Deluxe Edition hardcovers were just doing the Mighty Morphin series. And at the time the Shattered Grid event came out, they really hadn't intended to do a Go-Go Power Rangers hardcover. So the tie-in issues for Shattered Grid, which don't really affect the main story and don't necessarily need to be included here, is Go-Go Power Rangers 9 to 12. So that's included. That's, that was 4 issues. That's fine. That's fine because, yes, those 4 issues are included with the Shattered Grid hardcover. And then the later, which again probably wasn't originally planned, Go-Go Power Rangers hardcover. This first one included the 9 to 12 because this also included, what is this, 1 to 16? So yeah, you overlap a little bit there, but you can read those Go-Go issues with Go-Go. They also do connect to the Shattered Grid story, so I don't mind the double dip there. It's only 4 issues. It makes both books read better. That's fine. What's not fine is Necessary Evil. So Necessary Evil was a storyline that took place in 2 different time periods. So the book flip-flops back and forth with the way it's mapped here. And so you've got, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 41 to 47, Go-Go Power Rangers 21 to 28. And that's fine. The original intended reading order was that you would flop back and forth. You'd see something in present day, then you'd see kind of how it came to be in the past. And because of the event being, kind of thick, you have these 2 volumes. And so the second volume here contains Mighty Morphin 48 to 55 and Go-Go 29 to 32. So, it kind of made sense. Like, okay, we're going to do this. So that means Go-Go Volume 2 should end at 20, right? And the assorted specials? Well, no. Go-Go Deluxe Book 2 will contain, it has 17 through 32. So you're double dipping on 21 through 32 of Go-Go if you're buying all the Power Ranger Deluxe hardcovers. I don't think that's great. Now, I will say, it's Go-Go does have like this weird split. Like they did split it pretty equally between the 2 books, which makes some sense. But this came out around the time of this. So they knew what they were doing here. I, personally speaking, would have done it differently. I think what it would have been better is if this still went all the way through Go-Go 32. I also would have included a page that says, go read Mighty Morphin Power Rangers after issue 20. But then I would have made this one Necessary Evil volume that's just the Mighty Morphin issues, because you can really read them separate. All the Go-Go issues take place before the Mighty Morphin issues for Necessary Evil, so I think it should have been this and then one of these. Because as it stands, you're kind of stuck with a double dip. If you want all the issues of Power Rangers and you get all the deluxe hardcovers, you have double dipped on those 4 issues of Shattered Grid, which I don't think is too much of an issue, but 12 issues of Go-Go Power Rangers is double dipped here. And I don't like that. They've not double dipped anything since, so, I think they've learned a lesson, and every volume since has felt more planned out. But, yeah, that's my biggest double dipping complaint, because in this case, it's one line of hardcovers. And, if you're just getting Go-Go for just Go-Go, it's fine, but, kind of needs Mighty Morphin to go with it. I don't get it. I don't get why we had to repeat that much on books that have a $75 cover price. And they're all part of the same line. I think maybe the thing is they're all part of the same line. It's not like, oh, I'm double dipping the Avengers stories in my X-Men. It's like, yep, those are two separate lines. This is one line. This is one comic, universe, one line of books. So the double dip annoys the crap out of me. But at least it's never happened again. So yeah, we all double dip in collecting, and sometimes it's just for an upgrade, sometimes it's to get stuff we never had before, and the healthy thing is to sell off the books you don't need anymore or give them to somebody that would enjoy them, because the joy of reading needs to be passed along. Yeah, this is one of those things that just comes up in the collecting space. It's just how it goes, and I'm sure there's plenty of other examples. I could even do a part 2 if you guys are interested, but let me know your examples in the comments. Let me know what you have double dipped on, or what you were annoyed you had to double dip on, or whatever, in the sense of you have to do it to get what you want kind of thing. Like, if I wanted all the Ghost Rider, at this point I'm kind of leaning towards let me get these omnibuses as long as I keep cranking them out. So let me know in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video, please hit the like button, hit subscribe and the notification bell if you haven't already. Help keep up with the future of this channel and help support this video in particular. Love doing comic videos like this, talking about these subjects that we all deal with that we don't give enough spotlight to. Also, be sure to check out our Discord server in the link below if you want to continue the conversation. And you can join as a channel member and get perks like early access to videos and special shoutouts. Let's give some special shoutouts to our channel members. Special shout out to all of our channel members, including Captain Tears, Spin-54, Masterman95, Forever1000, Super Shaddix Boom, Mr. Smelly Tomato, Veloquince, Thiago Ribeiro, Jacobu Shiraz, Ghostly, Dr. Carver, Mr. Arrowverse 16, Parzival Joker, Sherez, Philippe Ceruno, Renato, and Gabriel Saez. Also, special shout out to Lightning63 for joining at Commander tier. Thank you everybody for the support of this channel, members and viewers alike. If you so wish, I'm on social media on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Soundout12. You can also find my wonderful graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643, and you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for comic reviews and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, here's to hoping to not double dip as much in the future.